I'm Lynne Suprock, and I'm real excited to belong to the amazing crafting products team this year. I'm a mixed media designer, a writer, and an instructor, and a link to my blog will be at the end of this tutorial. Today we're going to work with some chocolate. We're going to use ReMelt as a product for the first project, and we're going to use Betsy Ann chocolates, which are one of my favorite out of Pittsburgh. We're going to have a few people over Valentine's Day. What I'm going to do is make a bunch of Betsy Ann molds and let them taste test to see if they can tell which one is the real deal versus my other chocolates. The materials list will include mold putty and ReMelt, some special tools, a microwave, a refrigerator, and a few other items. So let's begin by taking the mold insert out of the chocolate box and inspect it. I'm going to want to look at my mold and make sure the writing is reading left to right. And I'm going to use that side of it, and then I'm going to pull out the amazing ReMelt, which is wonderful. It's non-toxic, so it's perfect for food. It looks a little bit like Jello, and it's solidified. So what you got to do is either melt it in its container or chop it up like I did and put it in a Pyrex container. Use your microwave and just do a few seconds at a time, stirring in between. You don't want too many bubbles, and it'll look a little bit like this. It actually smells sweet too, like Jello after it's melted. And then I'm going to use a little of this cooking spray and spray my candy mold before I pour in the ReMelt. Again, you can see the writing is left to right, so you're going to want to pour a little bit of the ReMelt right into that container, about 1/4 of an inch, and let it solidify. Sometimes I put it in the refrigerator to make that process go a little faster. And then I'm going to pull out the piece, and it looks like a wiggly piece of Jello, and set it aside. I'm going to reheat my ReMelt again. A few seconds, stir with a stir stick. Keep an eye on it. You just want it to barely melt and be able to pour. Then I'm going to pour it again into my mold container, just like I did before. Only this time, before it sets up, I'm going to take my original piece and lay it right down in with the words up. I'm going to lay it right down in that wet ReMelt and let it solidify together. The reason I do it this way is the ReMelt has to come out and flip around so that it leaves an impression in the chocolate. If you just poured the chocolate in on top of the original ReMelt, you wouldn't get the impression of the words. So I'm going to use this almond bark, which is chocolate that you can melt down to make candy, and heat it in the microwave and stir it up. Then I'll pour it into the mold when it's melted. After it cools, I'll pop everything out, and you'll see there's the ReMelt piece. I'm going to separate that from the chocolate. Then I'll be left with this wonderful piece of look-alike Betsy Ann chocolate, and we'll see if my guests will be able to guess after they taste it which chocolate is the real Betsy Ann chocolate piece. Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is show you how to make a heart. It's a similar process, and we're going to incorporate mold putty this time in our project. We're going to get a template, a generic one. I picked one that has some words, and you can see it's a stencil actually. So I'm going to get the amazing mold putty, and it comes in 2 parts. It is also non-toxic, so great with candy and food. I'm going to get equal parts of part A and part B, and then I'm going to squish them together, roll them together until the color is uniform and I have a little bit of a ball. You have to work fairly quickly because in 5 or 6 minutes this is all going to set up. So I kind of roll it out into a circle, and then I depress my stencil with my fingers down onto the mold putty. You can see that after I lift my stencil, there's some ridges where the writing was. Then I'm going to also make the spaghetti noodle type of thing, because I'm going to put a heart shape well around these words, so that'll be where I fill my ReMelt. I'm going to use ReMelt just instead of just pouring the chocolate straight in, because I want my letters to appear out instead of depressed. So I mix my ReMelt as I did before in the microwave. You just a few seconds at a time, 5 to 6 seconds on high, stir in between, and once you have that melted, you pour it into your heart. I put mine in the refrigerator to hasten the process, and it'll cool, and then I pull it out of the mold, and then I have a piece of ReMelt that looks like this. So I'll get some more mold putty, and I'll mix it up and make a bigger noodle, and then I'm going to put the well around this ReMelt heart so that when I pour the chocolate in, it'll have a place to lay. So again, I'm going to melt my chocolate in microwave. I'm going to then take the chocolate and pour it right into this mold. And you could leave that set up or put that in the refrigerator depending on what your chocolate instructions are. And then when I come back, I'll pull it out and there's my chocolate heart. The words are raised so you can see them really, really well, and it's pretty yummy. So that makes a nice little Valentine's Day gift or just something to put on the table for your guests. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.